Welcoming back to Weekly Wrestling Podcast, former AAW champion, and I believe he's the current Scott County Pro champion, ladies and gentlemen, Shane Hollister. What's going on, buddy?
Not much, man. Just relaxing.
First of all, I want to thank you for taking this time out. Always a pleasure to talk with you, buddy.
Hey, I love doing podcast interviews, man. This is a pleasure for me.
Sounds good, buddy. Talk a little bit about your reign as AAW Heavyweight Champion. I know it just came to an end last weekend. Talk a little bit about it. And AAW, their product, it's fantastic lately.
Yeah, man. It's. I'm gonna toot my own horn here. I've been champion at AAW's highest point it has ever been, ever. I was champion, and then I had that match with Steen. Lost the belt, regained the belt, had this match with Kingston. I lost the belt, and I'm getting another rematch here in just a few short weeks, actually. I believe it is October 16th. It's a Friday, I believe. That is the AAW show where I get my shot back at my belt. So, yeah, man, AAW's just been on fire. This, past year has just been amazing.
I can just imagine, man. I've actually seen the shows, and I'm loving the product lately. I'm loving everything you're putting to the table, man. So congratulations on all success lately.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I was just a kid when I started wrestling and coming to AAW shows, man. I was 19 when I had my first match in AAW. So it's pretty wild, man. So yeah, it's nuts.
Now, with that said, we're actually going to have Eddie Kingston on the show on Tuesday. So if you got any words for him regarding the upcoming AAW title defense, feel free.
Yeah, just, hey, Kingston, if your face hurt before from all those kicks, it's going to get a lot worse. I hope you like the taste of sand and grit from your teeth when they're broken and you swallow them.
Strong words there from former champion. I'm sure going to put up a hell of a fight to become the new AAW champion. That's a Jawbreaker. Check them out at AAW Pro on Twitter and check out all the AAW happenings.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Now, with that said, a big thing that got announced just a little while ago, and I definitely wanted to get into this and chat about it, was your role with the Black and Brave Wrestling Academy. You're an assistant trainer there. Talk a little bit about that, buddy.
Yeah, man. It's hands down, I'm telling you right now, our students, on the first night, they show up, they're a wad of cookie dough. I'm going to steal this line from Fight Club. You're a wad of cookie dough. By the end of this training and all the CrossFit training, they're going to be carved out of wood. I promise you that. These students are doing the hardest workouts you can imagine, getting trained the best way by one of the top guys in the world. He's there a lot more than people even know. That is Seth Rollins, and then me and Marek Brave also. We have minds for this business. We've been doing this for a really long time. And hell, one of the guys is on TV every week on top. He's Mr. Money in the Bank, Seth Rollins. So it's hands down, I'm telling you right now, this is the best place in the U.S. to come get trained.
Man, I could just imagine the amount of talent that's teaching you. Talk a little bit about your relationship with Marek Brave and Seth Rollins.
Well, I've known Seth since we were kids. We grew up together. I've known him since we were, I was probably 14 when I first met him. He was 15. Neither one of us were even able to drive. We were riding around with his older brother at the beginning. So, we've known each other for a really long time. We grew up together, went to the same high school together. Marek and us, we all met around the same time. Me and Seth Rollins, we were doing some backyard wrestling shows, which SCW actually started as a backyard wrestling show, and then everybody got trained. So, yeah, man, we met Marek around the same time. We were putting on shows as nobody was trained, And then, eventually Seth was actually going to go originally train with CM Punk for Ring of Honor, and things didn't happen the way he had planned. So he ended up getting trained by Danny Daniels, and him and Marek trained together around that time. I was still not a sophomore. I was I was a junior in high school when they started training. So like, yeah, I was like, all right, as soon as I'm done with high school, I'm gonna go train. And they trained. They started doing shows for IWA, and then from there, like everybody was just, Marek Brave, Seth Rollins. They were a tag team called the Black and the Brave, hence the name of the Black and the Brave Wrestling Academy. Yeah, man, they got trained, and then eventually we had enough guys for Danny to come all the way to the Quad Cities and train with us. So I was actually a senior in high school when I started training. So I was going to AAW shows when I was still a senior in high school, putting up the ring, watching shows, getting beat up. So, yeah, man, like, it's awesome. And I've just to watch one of my best childhood friends become a star in this business. It's a prime example of you make a lot of sacrifices and you do what needs to be done, you can get there. So, I mean, and then his mind right now is just so sharp when it comes to wrestling. It's just, I learn when he's teaching the students as well, and I know Marek does as well. So it's great. It's awesome just to be there and listen to him talk about wrestling and what's going on and how it works for, the WWE and stuff like that. So, man, I can't talk enough about it. Like, I love it. I've been doing the CrossFit workouts. When I wrestled Kevin Steen, I was 215 pounds. I'm down to 194 pounds. So the CrossFit is legit. Our students are going to come out looking real good, and their cardio conditioning is going to be insane. So I can't say enough good things about the wrestling school. I am pumped to be a part of it, and I'm very proud as well.
I can just imagine it. It sounds like a fantastic thing you guys got going on there. Definitely check it out. I believe it's blackandbravewrestling.com.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Check it out, folks. Definitely, if you're looking for a place to train, that is the place to be. You talked a little bit about AAW, though, and being a part of it for such a long period of time. Talk a little bit about the growth of AAW. I know the top guy at the top point of the company. So talk a little bit about the growth of it.
Yeah, man, it's been crazy. Like when I first started there, going to those shows there, like the best wrestlers on the show, no joke, were Danny Daniels, Marek Brave, and now Seth Rollins, Tyler Black at the time. They were definitely the best wrestlers on those shows because they were just, oh man, they were just horrendous to try to watch. And then when Danny took over, things started changing. The talent got better, and it just has been progressing every year. Every year it progresses. And like this year, it was like its top year, and I just so happened to be on top and the top guy. And I had been working there from the bottom, putting up the ring as a student, and then all of a sudden to become the champion. And it's crazy because like, the same night I became champion, no joke, like it, I was being tweeted and everybody was hearing about it, and like Seth, he texted me and was like, "Hey man, congrats!" Like, you know what I mean? Like he's in the WWE and somehow he hears about it and he wants to congratulate me. So, I mean, in this business, especially for one of the top independent companies around right now, like to be the top guy is a big deal. So, I mean, it's meant the world to me to be the top guy and to be the champion and represent the company the way I have, or the way I did. And I don't know, man. It's amazing. I can't wait to see where AAW goes from here. Even if I'm not the top guy, I'm going to be there. And I want to be the top guy. I mean, who doesn't want to be the top guy? But if I'm not, I'm still going to be there. I'm going to watch AAW flourish because that's all it is going to do. Is going to keep getting better, no doubt about it. I promise that.
I could just imagine, man. Talk about your favorite defense as champion. You had quite a few of them, so which one was your favorite along the way?
Oh, man, I've had a lot. Like, I mean, there's been some really, really good ones. Like, oh, man, I think the whole thing with Steen. The whole thing with Steen was awesome. And, like all those, like, the match where I lost was I mean, I was a little down and out about that. I was like not feeling very well that day. And then when we had our rematch, that match was awesome, getting great responses. And just everything, everything after that, like the matches have been really, really good. Like I can't complain about anything. Like I just want to, especially on those AAW shows, man, to be the last guy, to be going out there after following so much amazing talent, it like really makes you have to be on your A game because, I mean, you're following guys like Gargano and like, you know what I mean? They're like the top guys from all over. So, you know what I mean? You have to go out there and follow those dudes. You really, really, really have to bring your A game. And, like, actually even had a title defense against Gargano and Ethan Page, which was awesome. It was like a sprint, though. It was like when I had my hand raised and they were like 10 minutes and some odd seconds. I was like, what the hell? Seriously? So, like, it was like a sprint, man. Like, it's super fast, super in your face. Like, it's like one of those things where I'm like, man, I can't believe that was only 10 minutes long. So, I mean, it's just been awesome. Like, I mean, even this match where I lost to Kingston was one of the best matches I've had in my entire career. I mean, the performance itself spoke for itself, and the crowd was just in the palm of our hands. It was awesome. So, and I cannot complain. I mean, I lost the belt, but it was one of the best matches I've ever had in my entire career. So,
would you say undoubtedly the biggest test of your career was being the AAW champion?
Oh, hands down. Yeah, man. Like I said, you're following some of the best talent in the U.S. today. Like guys like Johnny Gargano. Ciampa was on a show, like on that same show where I wrestled Kingston. We have to wrestle, you know what I mean? Like ACH is on those shows. Matt Cage, who I think is an amazing up-and-comer. That guy is going to be the center of attention for a lot of companies here soon. He's so amazing. He's so good. And he makes me, because we're good friends, he makes me have to bring my A game. Like, even if I'm tired, I'm like, maybe I'll just, I'll do some things. And then he comes and I watch his match and I'm like, all right, I got to turn it up. I got to bring it. I can't just I can't just mail it in. I got to really bring it because this guy brings it every time he's in the ring, promos, wrestling. It's just, he's getting, like, every year that guy just gets better and better and better and better. And, like, it's a matter of time before he, like, breaks out and somebody picks him up. So, Matt Cage, can't say anything enough. And that's another guy, I have to follow Matt Cage, ACH, all those guys. And then, like, Juntai Miller, man, he's super good too. Like all these guys, man, I'm just like, all right, I got to follow all of this. I'm like the main event. This crowd has literally seen everything. So I'm like, I'm going to be me. I'm going to do what I do. And I'm just going to give them the best show I possibly can. And I don't know, man, like almost every time, I'm not going to lie, I'm having the best match on the show and I'm following all that. As a fan,
I couldn't agree, man. I just couldn't agree more with that one.
And it's a testament to who I am as a professional wrestler and who AEW is as a company, like for me to follow that and be the ringleader and follow all of that great talent and all that great wrestling. It's just, I mean, what can you say, man? Like, I'm Barry Horowitz in myself right now. I've tapped myself on the back right now, like saying, yep, I did it. Every time I get done, I'm like, yes, all right. Another one in the bag, done. I love it, man. I love it, man. I love being the guy, but at the same time, it's a lot of pressure to be put on your back and shoulders going, all right, follow all of that. So, man, it's been the greatest
I can just imagine
as a performer.
Oh, absolutely, man. With that said, we're going to get off the AAW topic and talk a little bit about somewhere you returned to after a couple of years of a hiatus, AIW, and you had a big four-way match at Gauntlet for the Gold 9. Talk a little bit about that one because that was really, really highly talked about.
Yeah, man, like it's been so long since I had been there, and like I know that AIW was blowing up at this point. And, like, I was there, like, as Tyler Black's, like, lackey, like, back in the day, So, like, I hadn't been there in a really, really, really long time. So it was a really long time, but it had been a long time. I didn't even think anybody was going to remember who I was, and I wasn't in the greatest shape. at the time, but I was in there with some amazing talent, you know, like, and then at the same time, it was like the first time ever meeting Trevor Lee, and that guy is like blowing up all over the place right now. So, like, I mean, I got to work with him, Tyson Dux, who's amazing. Like, that guy has been at this game for a long time, and he's real good, and he's in amazing shape. I mean, I don't know how people overlook that guy. For some reason, that guy has not had the right opportunity given to him, and he's super good. Davey Vega, good. Man, like, he's awesome. He's awesome, and he's an awesome guy. Like, I love Davey Vega. So, like, it was one of those things where I'm like, all right, I just got to bring what I do to the game, and I know all of these guys are going to do it as well. And, like, it was a blast, man. Like, and, like, I had never seen Trevor Lee's work, and, like, the first time I saw him, I'm like, oh, man, this guy's just going to throw people around. And then you watch him work, and it's like, all right, this guy is really good, and it was like a pleasure to watch as well, because, like, there's opportunities where I was in the match where I got to watch some of the stuff that he does, and I was like, man, he's freaking good. He's amazing shape. Like, what can you say, man? That match was a lot of fun. I mean, I'm pretty positive it's on YouTube still. It's one of those matches where I actually got a welcome back chant, which is, I didn't expect that at all because I hadn't been there for so long, which was awesome. Like, it made me feel real good. And that's a long ride for me, too. It's like 7.5 hours from Davenport, Iowa. So, like, to go all the way there and then get that welcome back chant felt really, really good. And after it was all said and done, I felt real good about the match. And, man, what can you say? AIW on fire right now, man. Like, it was a blast. And then I had a singles match with Dukes shortly after that.
I was gonna say, man, that was such a good match. Such a good match.
Man. Yeah, man. Like, I was like, all right, I know he's gonna bring his A game. I'm bringing mine. And I had just started I was slimming down a little bit around that time. So I was like, all right, it's time to bring it. You got to get that wind back. You got to be that Shane Hollister from 2012, 2011, just like a snap. So I was like, all right, got to bring it. And it was fun, man. It was a blast. Like, just, it was fun, man. It's an AIW. Great place, man. I love it. So.
Now, with that said, any talk of a return anytime soon?
It makes it really tough. Like, even AAW shows are getting tough for me to do because, like, I'm becoming a father. I'm engaged. Like, my baby's gonna be here soon, so I had to go out and get. Thank you very much. I had to go out and get, like, a real job, which, you know what I mean? But, so I went, you know what I mean? You got to do what you got to do. So I went out and got,
Absolutely.
You know, myself a good job. And I also got myself a legit good job that, you know, could potentially become a career. So, like, I mean, Friday shows are one of those things where it's, like, tremendously hard to do, and especially with, like, AIW being 7.5 hours away. It all depends. I straight up told them, I was like, because they recently tried to get me booked for a show. And my thing is, if Saturdays and I'm not booked anywhere else, I am going there because I love AIW. And if they run on Saturdays, I'm going to be there no matter what, because it's some of the funnest times I have ever had in wrestling. And those trips remind me of the days of riding in the car with Tyler, and it was fun, man. Like, straight up 7.5 hours with one of your best friends in a car ride. You can talk about the most silly shit in the world. So it's awesome, man. Like, AIW, man. It was like one of the first places they actually recognized me as a talent. Like, even before AAW, I was like, they were wanting me to be around more and wrestle more and give me more opportunities. But when Tyler wasn't around, it wasn't in the picture for me, really. So, I mean, it's just a place that, gave me an opportunity when I was still real green and new in this business. So I've always had a special place in my heart for AIW. So, and I can't say enough good things about those guys.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see you there soon, and hopefully I'll get to see you at both places, because I'm hoping to do a double shot at the end of November, AIW and AAW, finally making our way down there.
Yeah, man, you know what? That'd be the perfect opportunity for those guys to book me, too, because potentially, most likely, I'm not going to have, what is it? Is it AIW on a Friday and then AAW on Saturday?
I'm not too sure on
I don't even know the day.
No, either.
Yeah, but either. either way, like, I mean, that's my perfect opportunity to do both, and I would love to do both. So
I hope that happens. I would love to see you both shows, man. And either way, I'm really, really excited to see you at AAW for the first time.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Like, is this gonna be your first AAW show? You said then?
Actually, yes, it is.
All right. And that's the end of November, right?
That's correct.
My baby will be born by then. I'll definitely be at that show.
Sounds good, buddy. Looking forward to seeing you. Let's move on to some Scott County wrestling. We had Marek Brave on a little while ago, and he talked a little bit about the product. Let's get you to talk a little bit about the product. And I believe you're Scott County champion as well?
Yes, I'm the champion right now. And, yeah, man, like, Scott County, it's where we all got our start. Like, you know, me, Tyler, now Seth, and Marek Brave all started there. And, like, it's just been our home company besides AAW since we started. I mean, SCW took a hiatus for a little while, and then it came back, and it's the best it's ever been. You know what I mean? Like, it's got, you know, we got, like, you know, Matt Cage is on our shows. He was our champion. That's who I won the belt from. Christian Rose, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of good talent. Marcus Crane, you know what I mean? Like, there's some good stuff on the SCW shows, and it's always been great to, like, wrestle in front of friends and family because they can make it to those shows. It's home. So it's always a great opportunity, and to represent the company right now, at my opinion, at its best it's ever been, is another, you know what I mean, it's another testament to who I am as a professional wrestler and what I bring to the table. So, yeah, man, it's just been nothing but great. It really, really has. And, like, I don't know, it's just, everything just seems like it's getting better and better and better in life. And in SCW, being home, it's a blast, man. Like, I have a lot of fun there. So, I don't know, man. I don't know what else to say. Yeah.
It's always great to hear. You mentioned Tommaso Ciampa earlier, and you faced him a little bit ago at DreamWave. Talk a little bit about the DreamWave product as well, because that's steadily improving as well.
Yeah, man. I've been in DreamWave for, I think I started in DreamWave, I think my first match was either 2011 or 2012. It might have even been 2011. So, yeah, man, I've been there and watched that company rise. You know what I mean? Like, DreamWave is a blast. And, like, the DVD quality and, like, the production and, like, its name value is getting so much stronger and so much better, and it's a place to be. It's one of the places to be right now to get some of the best talent, because right now that company is, like, booking some of the best guys in the U.S. And, like, the Bucks were on the show, you know what I mean? The Young Bucks, and I never get to be on shows with those guys. So, like, those guys have been on a few DreamWave shows now, and Gargano was there for quite a while, and then Ciampa was on that show. I got the opportunity to work with him for the first time. And, yeah, man, it was awesome. I had a blast. And, like, I mean, I got a compliment this week, actually, from the promoter saying that he's been loving my promos. He said my promos have been real good there lately, and it's rare for me to get, like, you know, like, a compliment on the promos, but I've been really focusing on those a lot lately. So
I've noticed
it's real good
from
to have the good feedback.
AAW shows. I've really noticed that you've been working on them, and I really enjoy them lately. So congratulations, and keep up the awesome work on those, man.
Yeah, thanks, man. They're only going to get better. I have some crazy thoughts in my head, and if I just let them out and it's real to me, I mean, I'm letting out some real aggression sometimes with some of that stuff. So, yeah, man, like, what you see is what you get, man. That's as real as it gets when you get to actually let out some aggression and verbally let it out instead of just with action. So it's real nice to have that opportunity. And, you know, I've just been really thinking about them a lot lately, and I'm like, you know what, that's one of the things that in my career was lacking. So now they're just going to get better and better and better.
I can only imagine, man. You're a phenomenal talent, and if you can increase that, I can only imagine what the eyes are going to be on you. And speaking of that, Talk a little bit about, working with the Ring of Honor talents a little bit more. You've been working with a few Dragon Gate talents as well. Maybe seeing a little bit of a future in either Ring of Honor or Dragon Gate?
I would love the opportunity. I mean, I know for a fact, Gabe has told people, he has told people on numerous occasions that the only reason he doesn't book Shane Hollister is because Shane Hollister isn't in good enough shape. So, to that, I'm getting in the best shape of my entire life, and I don't know what, I don't know if he's going to have an excuse after that. So, with that said, there's that. Ring of Honor is, I'm pretty positive a lot of those guys who've been there for a while, like Roderick Strong knows who I am. Those guys know who I am. I've worked with a lot of those guys. I've done tryout matches and been there. I would have had a contract, or I would have been in Ring of Honor if Gabe would have never got fired. He was getting ready to work me into a lot of, backstage promos.
Any story behind that?
Like that. So. No, Gabe came to an AAW show and he watched if you ask me, my breakout match with Tyler Black, and Gabe straight up walked up to me and he goes, "That was amazing. We got to get you here." So, that was going to happen. And then when Evolve was getting ready to start, I went and did the Jeff Peterson Memorial Cup that actually was like the spawning of Evolve. And I was supposed to do Evolve, the very first Evolve, and I broke my leg. And I broke my leg on a Sunday, and it was the following Saturday was the first Evolve, and I have not been invited back. So, yeah, that's a bummer. But at the same time, it just makes you want to work harder to get to where.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. You want to work harder to get to where you were and where those opportunities were coming. And I'm not going to slow down, man. I'm getting in the best shape of my life. Promos are getting better. My actual real life is the best it's ever been outside of wrestling, so it's helping a ton. So I'm ecstatic, man. I love this business, and I don't see myself walking away from it for quite a while. And I'm pretty positive a lot of opportunities are going to start coming up for me here soon.
I hope so, man. I wish all the best for you. Let's talk a little bit about if a contract offer came from either WWE or TNA. Would you consider it?
To be honest with you, the TNA would just be a no. I couldn't. The money would be nice and whatever. I think their schedule is real light. But at the same time, it's It's one of those things where you could be getting paid and not have any TV time and not be even, And then they'll if you ask me, they have some really talented guys signed that they don't use the way they should. That company was built from the X division, and then those guys were thrown in the back burner, just like WCW did with the cruiserweights. It was the same story all over again. And you know what? If you ask me, TNA is a sinking ship, and I would not want to get aboard a sinking ship. I don't want to drown. You know what I'm saying? So
absolutely,
I would not sign with TNA. I would not. If WWE offered me a contract, I would have some serious thinking about. I have a real life. You know what I mean? I would love it. Don't get me wrong. It's my dream. It's just I would have some serious thoughts going into that and some life-changing decisions. So, granted, I would have to actually be, I would have to see a contract in front of me for me to be okay, here's the real decision. This is where shit gets real. So, until something like that happens, I don't even know how to answer your question. This is the best way I can answer it.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But yeah, man, I would. Who wouldn't? You'd love to get started. That's the place to be. That's the end all, be all in this business.
I think if you're getting into the business and you don't want to be there, I think you're out of your mind.
Yeah, you're crazy. You know what I mean? You're crazy. You set small goals first, obviously. And one of my goals I haven't done yet, which I want to do, is wrestle in Japan. So hopefully that's on the horizon.
Where exactly would you want to wrestle? Would it be New Japan?
that would definitely be the place, man. If you're not in WWE, New Japan is the place to be. Like, seriously, that's where the money's at.
I agree.
And there's some of the best talent in the world. Like, in the entire world is working.
I think actually AJ Styles went on record to say that New Japan has made more money than WWE and TNA this year.
It probably has. It probably has. Like, I know WWE lost its ass on, the debut of the network. They're not getting as many pay-per-views, you know what I mean? And that's a lot of money. And I think that Vince, like, what did Vince? He just lost a shitload of money, like, not that long ago. And, like, obviously New Japan is just going to keep making money. They haven't, like, I'm pretty positive they're not gambling their money with certain things. So, obviously New Japan is, and it's going to have a harder hitting, faster action than the WWE style. So, there's going to be a lot of people wanting to see that, especially, like, smart American fans who like that fast action aren't going to be so into watching WWE when they're going to be like, all right, I want to watch New Japan. They're going to buy the DVDs. They're going to buy T-shirts. They're going to buy posters. You know what I mean? Like, New Japan is going to make a lot of money because they have some of the best talent. And it's just, those shows are like, man, that is pro wrestling. So, like, with that said, I mean, seriously, if you're not in the WWE, New Japan is the place to be.
I'm so happy you brought up the WWE Network because you got interviewed for the WWE Network for the Shield documentary. Talk a little bit about that, buddy.
Yeah, man, that was the whole time that Seth was doing his interview. For anything that you saw him doing, I was behind the camera, like, watching the whole thing. And then me and Marek actually got interviewed, but mine aired. Yeah, man, it was really cool. And, like, to watch, like, that whole thing happen because, like, you know what I mean? Like, I watch all the WWE documentaries and all that stuff, and it's the same guys who do the camera work. It's the same guys who are there asking the questions that they end up answering. So it was really cool to watch that and be a part of that. And then, like, to get interviewed for it was, I didn't even think mine was going to air, man. Like, I was like, I'll do this. This is really cool. And the funny thing is, like, the first time they, like, started airing it, they didn't put my name up. So it was, like, I was the nameless guy in the Shield documentary. So, like, Seth got asked on Twitter, and they're like, who is this guy? And then he tagged me on Twitter, which I had thought was funny. And I hadn't even seen it until actually they put my real name on there and, like, until they actually, put my name on there. So it was like, it's pretty cool, man. Like, I only say, like, 3 things, but it's on the WWE Network for forever until they're like, all right, we're just going to take this thing off here. So, I mean,
that's for $9.99 a month.
$9.99. You can watch it. You can see Shane Hollister on the WWE Network say 3 things. So, oh, man, yeah, it was cool, man. Like, and, having one of your best friends work for the WWE is just, it's awesome. You know what I mean? Like, if you have any questions, he's not like one of those guys like, come on, don't ask me that. You know what I mean? Like, he's all about it, especially with our students. He'll answer any of their questions, especially at the end of, like, training. He'll just say, all right, it's question time. And, any question they want to ask him, he answers. So, I mean, man, when they're asking questions and he's talking, I'm learning. So it's awesome to me to be a part of it.
Always a learning process.
That's pro wrestling for you, man. Once you stop learning and you feel like you've learned it all, you're
right.
A smart ass, and you shouldn't be in this business because I guarantee even the old timers who are around still watching wrestling and they're agenting shows or whatever, they're like, man, you know what? He could have done this there, and it would have been a way better response. You're constantly learning. You're constantly learning from yourself. You're learning from other people and their performance. So it's one of these businesses where if you think you've learned it all, you are strongly mistaken, and you were wrong. So I mean that's another thing I love about pro wrestling. It's you're always constantly learning something new.
Oh, absolutely, man. I got to ask you, what's your history of injuries in the business? Talk a little bit about that, and you think it will ever affect you getting a possible major contract down the line?
I mean, I have a steel plate and 10 screws in my left leg. I don't know if WWE would be like, well, we don't know if we can see the longevity in that. Granted, I mean, there have been guys who've gotten signed with, steel plates in their limbs before, but, like, that's something they can be like, well, can we get the longevity out of this guy? Other than that, I haven't had any, like, really, really major ones. I mean, I've had concussions here and there, but nothing to the point where it's like I'm fucked up for life or anything like that. So, like, just the bumps and bruises that come with it. I've had 3 operations on a tooth that got knocked back and up with a back elbow from a guy when I was probably, I don't know, like 3 months in after I got trained. Like, never got hurt backyard wrestling, and here I am trained, and I get my tooth knocked back and up into my mouth, and I have to have 3 operations to get it fixed. But other than that, like, I mean, I've never had. I mean, the tibia and fibia break in my leg really sucks. When your ability to walk is taken from you, you really start thinking about your life and like, if I should do this. And in that documentary, like Seth says, he goes, there's plenty of times you should quit. Plenty of times. The reason you don't is because you love it. And that has been, I have never heard truer words in my entire life. You know what I mean? Like, you can get hurt and get hurt and get hurt and get hurt and wake up in pain every day and go do these shows on these weekends and then come home to real world and be in your real life. And, like, it's such a, to try to explain, like he said, to try to explain this to normal people, they just don't get it. They have no clue, or they just have no inkling of what the way this business works and the ins and outs. So, like, it's a crazy lifestyle, and if you love it, that's why you're still doing it. I mean, that's just the way it is.
Absolutely, man. I couldn't agree more. I feel like those words are the best ways to look at pro wrestling. Seth Rollins, he's one of the top guys, like we've talked about already. So he's speaking truer words, never truer words out of anybody else. That's for sure.
The moment you stop loving it is the moment you should walk away.
I couldn't agree more, man.
I mean, it can become your job, but at the same time, you love your job. This is a job that you would love. Everybody who's a pro wrestler would love that job. So, I mean, you get to do what you love for a living, you should be happy doing it, and you should love it. I mean, if you're not, then you should just quit. Just quit. Because there's somebody else who would love that job to do what you're doing and not even be unhappy about it. So,
I agree, man. I agree. Let's talk about a couple of companies that you've been in and out of over the past couple of years. Combat Zone and St. Louis Anarchy. Talk about your experiences with them.
Combat Zone, I had gotten that opportunity because of Sami Callihan. Me and Callihan are great friends. I just recently heard that he had broken his leg down in NXT. And, he hooked me up with an opportunity in Combat Zone. I had a great time there, and, like, it's just one of those things where, man, like, the traveling was starting to get to me. It was really, like, I don't think there was anybody driving as far as I was to do those shows. I was in a vehicle one way for 16 and a half hours, man. Like, that itself is a mind fuck. Like,
yeah, that's serious business.
No joke. 16 and a half hours one way. And then I wrestle, and guess what? It's 16 and a half hours before I'm back home. And I did that. I did it every month. Every month. The second Saturday of the month, I was there. And, like, I'm pretty positive there was nobody driving that far. And the people who were from farther away, guess what? They were being flown in. They weren't driving. I guarantee it. And, like, it started to get to me, man. It started to really get to my head, and it wasn't that kind of driving for me at this point of how long I've been wrestling. The riding in a vehicle hurts worse than the wrestling itself. And that's a true statement, and you beat the hell out of your body wrestling. But riding in an uncomfortable vehicle for 16 and a half hours hurts more than the wrestling. And that it started to like weigh heavy on my mind, and it was just too much for me. I mean, I would love to work there again, but I don't want to do a 16 and a half hour drive. I love Combat Zone.
I don't blame you.
I love Combat Zone. It was great. It was a great opportunity to be in the best of the best. Was amazing, and I would love and hope to do it again soon. On the side note, St. Louis Anarchy, that was another place like AIW that saw greatness in me when I was real young still, too. I got to work with some great guys there, and I met ACH before he blew up in St. Louis Anarchy. I was on shows with him, and I had worked with him previous to his huge, like, Ring of Honor blow up and him starting to, like, get out more. I was on shows with him to watch him flourish as a pro wrestler on those St. Louis Anarchy shows was pretty awesome as well. And, like, those shows are so much fun. I'm not going to lie to you, man. Like, those fans are rabid, and they are ready to see some pro wrestling. Like, it's a lot of fun. And St. Louis Anarchy, I would love to wrestle there again, too. But then again, there's one of those companies that runs on a lot of Fridays, and sometimes they run opposite of AAW, and I can't, you know what I mean? AAW is my home. I can't not do AAW shows. Like, it's my, it's in my blood right at this point, in my wrestling blood, to be at AAW shows. I love St. Louis Anarchy. Don't get me wrong. I love those shows. I love being a part of those shows, and they're a ton of fun, and I would love to do them again. Any opportunity I have, if it opens up and I'm not booked anywhere and they're running the show, I want to be there. It's one of those companies where it's like, you're in the Midwest, you want to work for St. Louis Anarchy. It's a good time, great talent, great shows.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about them, so check them out as well. Getting back on the AAW front of things, though, there's a few venues that AAW likes to run at. Which venue is your favorite and why?
Personally, at this point, it's Bourbon Street. I love Bourbon Street. Like, if you see those DVDs and you watch them, like, they already have these, like, huge screens in there at that bar for some reason. But then again, that bar, I'm telling you, during those shows, people have no idea. If you're not at those shows, they have a million other things going on at the same time. In the other room, there could be a cover band playing in front of, like, 200 some odd people. And then in one room, one night, there was male strippers and, like, 300 chicks there. Like, all this is happening in one bar. So, like, when we wrestle, they have, like, all these huge screens where AAW in Berwyn has one. But when we wrestle at Bourbon Street, there's, like, 4 or 5 huge screens where everybody can see promos throughout the entire building, and you're not having to, like, stand on your chair to see a promo because there's a screen right by you. And, like, those venues like that, like, it just looks so amazing. Like, they're amazing. So it's one of my, it's my second favorite place I've ever wrestled. It's my second favorite place, and I love it there.
Well, you know this question was going to pop up with the way you answered that. What's your first favorite place to wrestle?
I knew it was coming. First favorite place is First Avenue in Minneapolis, Minnesota is my favorite venue I've ever wrestled in. The venue is just awesome, and I'm a huge music buff, so, like, you know, like, it's the place that Prince kind of built. Like, all the concert scenes from Purple Rain were filmed in that venue, and you enter from the stage, man, like, that's awesome. And outside the venue, all the coolest bands you could ever think of have a star there for them they played. You know what I mean? Like Anthrax, Metallica, Slayer. They've all played there. They've all played First Ave. So that venue, hands down to this day, is my favorite venue I have ever wrestled in.
That's actually really cool. To get a couple more questions in before we let you go, though, we talked about your favorite matches throughout your AAW title reign. Besides your title reign, though, what are some of the other favorite matches you've had?
I've had, like, some tremendous matches with Jimmy Jacobs, and I had a title match with him. I believe I defended the belt against Jimmy. I've just had some really good matches with Jimmy. He's one of those guys who is so smart. He's so smart and he's so good. And, like, any opportunity I get to work with him, I jump on it. He's one of those guys that, like, a lot of young talent coming in this business now could learn so much from if you just listen and pick his brain. It's so good, and he's so smart, and he knows the way the indies work and the way to tell an amazing story at the same time, which is sometimes missing from a lot of matches, like, that are just bam, 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 and then it's like, all right, that was cool. It was like a fireworks show, but there was no story. You know what I mean? So Jimmy's one of those guys who you want to go out there and you want to tell a story and you want to have a fireworks show at the same time. You want to have that grand finale at the end of the story. Jimmy Jacobs is the guy who will lead you through that story and paint a beautiful picture. So to me, Jimmy Jacobs is a professional and he's an artist, and, like, that's a guy I love working with. Also, on a side note, a guy he traveled a lot with when they broke in, Alex Shelley. Alex Shelley was one of my favorites. When I first broke in, I had, like, you know, I had my WWE favorite wrestlers or WCW favorite wrestlers or those guys who've been on TV favorite wrestlers. But my favorite independent wrestler I had ever seen when I first broke in was Alex Shelley. So when I got to work with him and him being excited to work with me was awesome, because this is a guy that I look up to tremendously. And he's working for New Japan, so which is awesome. Yeah, man, I had a great time with Alex Shelley. Anytime I've been in the ring with Alex Shelley has been awesome. Jimmy, obviously. ACH, I've had, was it 2 or 3 pretty, like, real good matches with ACH. And, like, you know, those guys, they make you, force you to bring your A game. And another guy, Michael Elgin. Like, I can't say I've had a bad match with Michael Elgin. I just can't. He's so good.
Can you have a bad match with him, though? Really?
I mean, you'd have to be absolutely terrible, and then if you had a bad match with Michael Elgin, you should probably just quit wrestling.
Michael Elgin couldn't have a bad match with a broomstick. Let's be honest.
No, he probably could not. He probably could not. I don't think he could. But yeah, man, those are the guys that and they're all different. They're all different in the ring, completely different. And I love working with all of those guys, and they make me work harder. So in turn, yes, that's awesome. Also, I will say this right now, I've had some good matches with Christian Rose and Matt Cage. Those are 2 guys who are Midwest dudes that I enjoy working with tremendously, and we're good friends. So, you know, we're going to go out there and beat the hell out of each other, and maybe I'll buy you a beer after we're done. So that's always great.
Throw out some more Midwest dudes that you want to throw out to our listeners, because I feel like a lot of those guys are doing some good things and not getting the recognition for it.
Well, obviously, like, you know, Matt Cage, I think he's like the guy right now. Besides me in the Midwest, he's the guy. Christian Rose, he's awesome as well. But Matt Cage is like, he's the man. So, I mean, there's a lot of guys like, there's another guy who's tremendously underrated and a lot of people don't know who he is, Bucky Collins. Bucky Collins is a guy who works for DreamWave, and he works for Scott County and some other Midwest, like lower level shows, but still, he is super, super good and really, really exciting to watch. And, I'm trying to think of, like, obviously Marek Brave, obviously. He has a tremendous mind for this business. And, I've had some great, that's another guy who's on my list of having some great matches with, especially earlier in my career, man. We had this cage match. It was real brutal that I'm pretty sure I think it's actually on his best of. It might be on my best of. But it's a brutal, brutal cage match. It was awesome. It was my first cage match ever. Actually, my first and only so far in my wrestling career. So, yeah, man, like, Marek Brave's obviously one of those guys. I'm really trying to think of more Midwest guys. I mean, Eric Cannon's considered a Midwest guy, but he's been around for a while. But obviously, I love working with Cannon as well. Like, man, my list could go on of guys I enjoy working with. and guys in the Midwest area who are like really good and really underrated, who should have more opportunities. My best thing, or my view on Midwest guys is the best thing you could possibly do is wrestle or watch DreamWave and AAW, because that's the best Midwest talent, and then some of the very best U.S. talent around you will see in AAW and DreamWave. And those are two companies where you're going to see a Midwest guy wrestle one of the best in the U.S., like a guy like Johnny Gargano wrestling a guy like Nick Brubaker. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to see that anywhere else. You're going to see it in DreamWave. You're going to see matches like Christian Rose versus Michael Elgin. You're going to see that in DreamWave. Like, these matches that are Midwest great wrestlers, you're going to see wrestle some of the top guys from all over the world on those DVDs, DreamWave and AAW. Like, and then AIW does the exact same thing. They'll take like a local guy or a local Midwest guy and put him in there with one of the best in the U.S. And those are the companies to watch. In my opinion, Midwest guys, watch AIW, watch AAW, watch DreamWave. That's the best in the Midwest, and you're going to see the best in the Midwest on those shows.
Absolutely. The Midwest is a very underrated rare area in professional wrestling, so definitely check those promotions out, folks. One more question for you before we let you go, and that's, what's the future for you, man? Short-term and long-term, what are you looking to accomplish?
Man, I don't see myself really walking away from this business, man. I think, you know, if anything, I'll end up being one of those guys who helps run, and I could be one of the guys, even if I'm done and my body's beat up, I think I could end up being one of those guys in the back helping, you know, work storylines in AAW, work storylines in SCW. I mean, I can just see myself helping people out and giving back to the business and training people still, because I think this Black and the Brave Wrestling Academy is going to go on for a very long time. So, yeah, man, I just see myself doing this until I'm not happy anymore. And I love this business. The moment I'm not happy and I don't love it anymore, I'll be done.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, man, with that said, I'm going to give you the chance to throw out some plugs, throw out some upcoming dates you got coming up, and throw out some social media so our listeners can keep up with everything you're doing, because you're doing some really, really great things right now. So if they're not paying attention, they're really, really stupid.
If you're not paying attention, you're wrong. You're just wrong. Anyways, Twitter handle @_Shug, SHUG. Obviously my Facebook, but at the same time, I think I'm going to have to make a fan page, because right now I have over 5,000 friends. But always follow me on Twitter. I keep up my shows are all tweeted on there. DreamWave is my next show. They usually run the very first Saturday of the month. If you are in the Midwest and you are in driving distance to come to a show, do it. Do it. Come to a DreamWave show. Come to an AAW show. Go to an AIW show. Go to a St. Louis Anarchy show, because those are the best in the Midwest. Be there. Watch some guys give you things and show you things that you've never seen in your entire life, and you will not see in the WWE. I can promise you that. And
if you don't, you're wrong.
You're wrong. You're just wrong.
And actually, I'm going to correct that date for you from earlier on. You versus Eddie Kingston is happening on Friday, October the 17th at Jawbreaker.
The 17th. See, the 16th would be a Thursday. Ha-ha. My days are all messed up. But yes, October 17th, I get my belt back from Eddie Kingston. He'll be swallowing his teeth that night.
And then the next month, hoping I have a I Can I Am t-shirt from you at AAW.
Actually, I have newer ones, man. I think you'll like these. Did you ever see the movie Reanimator?
I did.
All right. Now take the cover of that movie and put my face on it. That's my new t-shirts right now, and those are the ones I've been selling the most of. I might break out the I Can I Am again, because those. All right, man. You know what? Hey, you come to that show, you can have both.
All right, I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm looking forward to everything you're throwing out there lately. Guys, if you're not checking out Shane Hollister, you're absolutely 1,000% wrong. This guy is the future. Check him out, Shane Hollister. Once again, thank you so much for doing this show. We're such big fans of you, man, and looking forward to possibly seeing you in a couple months.
Awesome, man. Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure.
Always looking forward to having you back. We'll be in talks very soon, buddy.
For sure, man. Have a good one.
You take it easy. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're not checking him out, that is the current Scott County Pro Wrestling Champion. He's a former AAW champion, probably going to be the new AAW champion. Sorry, Eddie Kingston. Shane Hollister. Check him out, ladies and gentlemen. He is the future